Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford, one of the most controversial matchups in modern boxing. Some call it the fight of the decade, others call it a mismatch. But legends, trainers, and fighters all have their say, and the opinions couldn't be more divided. Is Crawford too small to survive? Or is his skill enough to dismantle Canelo the way Mayweather once did? Let's break it down.
Already know that he has speed, he's got power. I know he's moving up in weight class, can he carry it? But those intangibles, I believe that he has them.
And look at it, and that Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always a difference. When you get in that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin, he fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference.
Too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo's a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from Canelo.
Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is already being hyped as the fight of the year, and legendary trainer Teddy Atlas has shared his no-nonsense take. Atlas believes Crawford has the tools to win, no matter the weight class. He points to Crawford's discipline, versatility, and unmatched ring IQ as the keys to victory. On the other hand, Atlas questions whether Canelo is still the same warrior he once was. He suggests the Mexican champion has lost some of the hunger and fire that fueled his rise to greatness. In fact, Atlas goes as far as to say that recent performances show Canelo is in decline, and even overrated when compared to Crawford. In Atlas's eyes, Crawford's sharpness, hunger, and relentless drive put him in the driver's seat going into this massive showdown.
The urgency's not there. The fire's not there. At least it wasn't there a week ago. At least I say that. It wasn't there a week ago. Maybe it'll be there now. Maybe he's the kind of guy that, and I get it, that at this point in their career, it has to be a big fight to get up. That Canelo can't get up for these fights. He couldn't get up for that fight. All right. If you want to go down that road, go ahead. But my road is still possible. That he got old, that it just doesn't have that fire no more. Oh my God, I'm going to say this one. That maybe he's a little overrated. I listen, I know he's tremendous. He's tremendous. But could he be a tiny bit overrated? If you look at some of his biggest fights, the fights where you had to be great to win, that you fought great fighters or near great fighters. You could make the argument that he lost the first Triple G. He didn't embarrass himself, but he got a draw. Second one, you could make the argument he lost that. I know it was a different kind of fight, and he got better. But you can make that. You can make the argument he lost to Lara. He did lose to Mayweather. You can make the argument he was too young in his career. Maybe. Although it wasn't that young. He turned pro when he was 15 or 16.
Former Crawford opponent Jiu-Jitsu Mean Machine Kavaliauskas has weighed in on the potential Canelo versus Crawford showdown, and he's confident size won't decide the outcome. Having shared the ring with Crawford, Mean Machine believes that Crawford's superior skills and fight IQ give him a clear edge over Canelo. According to him, the natural weight difference means little when matched against Crawford's adaptability, timing, and ability to make adjustments mid-fight. He emphasizes that Crawford is one of the most intelligent fighters of this era, able to break opponents down no matter how big or strong they are. Kavaliauskas highlights Crawford's mastery of distance, rhythm, and pace control, arguing these qualities often outweigh sheer physical size. For him, this matchup comes down to tools, and he sees Crawford as having the sharper, more advanced arsenal. In his view, that makes Crawford the clear favorite against Canelo.
No, it's not good for Crawford. Canelo's too big. Right now, my position changed. I think Crawford is too fast and too smart for Canelo. Even Canelo's a good boy. I'm not saying nothing from Canelo, but the way when you see oh, he's too big, when you see Usyk fights and what Usyk did to the big guys like Joshua and Fury, so the size of that doesn't matter. I think the skill level matters, and Crawford, he gained weight, but I think he's gonna be even faster, and his head works good in the ring. His boxing IQ is just on top. So I would say 50-50, but right now I'm kind of leaning more to Crawford.
And that's just because of what you saw Usyk do?
It's not like I'm just giving an example. Like that size doesn't matter in the boxing. When they say like, oh, like Canelo is big and he's fighting like 175, 168, and Crawford is moving from like 147, 154. So I'm just putting an example that size doesn't matter, and like that the fighter makes the fight. I think it's just like that. I see that Crawford's training and that he's big too right now. So he gained weight, but not like, and lots of people gain weight like that sloppy weight, like I would say like fat, but he looked like strong, massively strong. So I think it's gonna be a good one.
How did Terrence feel physically when you faced him? Like, how is like his strength? Because yeah, a lot of people do make the point that Canelo's just maybe too big, too powerful for Crawford.
Crawford, I wouldn't say like his punches was like super strong, but his timing and accuracy is what makes difference.
Mean Machine has drawn an interesting parallel between Terrence Crawford's upcoming showdown with Canelo Alvarez and Canelo's famous 2013 loss to Floyd Mayweather. Back then, Canelo was still young and inexperienced, and Mayweather exposed him with superior defense, speed, and ring IQ. According to Mean Machine, Crawford has the tools to deliver a similar performance, using sharp movement, pinpoint accuracy, and clever counterpunching to neutralize Canelo's biggest strengths. He believes Crawford's ability to dictate the pace and frustrate opponents mirrors the same formula Mayweather used more than a decade ago, but Mean Machine also notes one key difference. Today's Canelo is a far more seasoned fighter. Since that loss, he's shared the ring with countless elite opponents, gaining experience, patience, and adaptability that were missing in 2013. In his eyes, this evolution makes Canelo a much tougher challenge for Crawford than the version that Mayweather once dominated.
They just throw. And he throws like his calculation for the punches and like timing and aiming to the right spots is just like on another level.
Do you think that's going to be the thing that complicates the fight the most for Canelo?
I think so, yeah. And like, yeah, like we can go back a little bit to Mayweather Canelo, and Canelo was young and like Mayweather smart, but it can be like familiar fight like that. Even Canelo right now have more experience, and Crawford is still on his prime. So yeah, we will see.
From just your experience, knowing boxing, like how do you think the fight will play out? Do you think it'll be a slow fight? Do you think it'll be tactical? Like, do you think Crawford?
I think it's gonna start a little bit slowly. They're gonna be careful with each other just to kind of like measure each other and see where they at. And like they're like, that's why like they're like champs and they're like great ones. They just don't go like crazy like from
Former world champion Regis Prograis has offered a very different perspective on the Canelo versus Crawford debate. Prograis is skeptical that Crawford's power will make any dent in a fighter as durable and naturally bigger as Canelo Alvarez. He points out that Canelo has stood toe-to-toe with some of the hardest punchers in the sport, men who are larger, stronger, and still unable to crack his granite chin. That said, Prograis doesn't write Crawford off completely. While he doubts the impact of Crawford's punches, he still respects the Nebraskan's elite skill set. In his view, Crawford's world-class technique, ability to switch stances seamlessly, and knack for executing precise game plans keep him a real threat. For Prograis, this fight comes down to whether Crawford's brilliance in skill and strategy can overcome Canelo's size, strength, and proven durability.
Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it. And then Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, and he can look bigger in. Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always the difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. His head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Erislandy, Lara, Austin Trout, Floyd, and Bivol, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is going to respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Magic Mouth. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about this might be, I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really, but this might be the best Mexican fighter ever.
Jose Vargas Jr., a fighter who has sparred with Terence Crawford, shares a view similar to Regis Prograis when it comes to Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez. Vargas admits that while Crawford is sharp, precise, and technically brilliant, he doesn't believe the Nebraska star packs the kind of power needed to hurt someone as tough and durable as Canelo. Having felt Crawford's punches firsthand, Vargas describes them as clean but not heavy-handed. He points out that Alvarez has already taken the best shots from naturally bigger, stronger opponents, yet remained standing. For Vargas, that raises serious doubts about whether Crawford can deliver the same kind of threat. Still, he doesn't completely dismiss Crawford's chances. Vargas acknowledges that timing, accuracy, and consistency can break down even the most resilient fighters. However, in his assessment, Crawford's lack of concussive power could allow Canelo to keep moving forward, applying relentless pressure without fear of being truly hurt.
You know, all we're doing is putting the final touches. I mean, I've been sparring Ron Ellis. I mean, this guy is a dog, bro. He's been getting me ready. I mean, he's been Canelo's sparring partner. Shout out to my guy Ron, man. He tries to knock me out every single sparring. This guy fights at 68. Big dude, goes southpaw, and hits hard. So I know he fought Benavidez. So you know, he's a veteran. He's doing better in tactics in there, where he's not letting me rest in the clinch. He's making me work every second of every round. And I got something for Callum. I got something for the whole boxing world. And you know, I feel you're just as good as your preparation. And we've been doing the road work. We've been doing the mountain work. I've been recovering hard. I've been getting my rest. You know, I haven't been drinking no dark sodas, bro. I'm feeling like Tyson Fury right now.
Mickey Bay has stirred controversy with his blunt take on the Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford matchup. The former world champion accuses Canelo of cherry-picking, arguing that Alvarez has a history of choosing opponents at the right time or under the most favorable conditions. In this case, Bay believes Canelo targeted Crawford because he's the smaller man moving up in weight, giving the Mexican star a built-in physical advantage. This opinion isn't isolated. Critics across the boxing world have raised similar concerns, suggesting Alvarez is relying on size and strength rather than meeting Crawford on equal terms. Bay points out that the matchup has already sparked heated debates among fans and analysts about whether it's truly fair. Still, Bay doesn't dismiss Crawford's chances outright. He admits that despite the size difference, Crawford's intelligence, adaptability, and elite skill set make him capable of turning the tables. In Bay's view, if anyone can flip the script against a bigger opponent, it's Terence Bud Crawford.
Comparison type of a thing to make it seem like it's not a type of cherry pick that he has to go up into this battle.
Oh, he a lot bigger. See, people looking at height. Height don't got nothing to do with weight and where you've been fighting at. Like, Terrence put his weight on, so it's a difference. No, Canelo's a lot bigger, like, hands down. Like, just mass, as far as mass. He naturally that thick. You know, he got to come down. Terrence, just because your weight is up there, that don't mean that's like putting a dude, Benavidez, as a heavyweight. He might walk around at 205 or whatever. That don't mean he a heavyweight though. So Canelo was by far the bigger man. We didn't see him hit dudes 6'3", 6'2" in the arm and hurt him. Like, he didn't hurt Kovalev, light heavyweight. So I mean, didn't he have a light heavyweight title?
Well, when he fought Kovalev?
Just period at light heavyweight. Didn't Canelo win the light? Did he?
No, he just Kovalev. That's it.
Oh, okay. Well, he might have only fought there a couple times, but the fact that he fought up there though, and he fought way up at light heavyweight, but he been at super middleweight for a minute, so he the bigger guy for sure. So really, he got to hurt Crawford, or he got to get his major respect. He got to get his major respect to make Crawford feel like he got to survive. If he can't do that, then he probably ain't gonna win.
Do you feel like you was talking about Crawford? He needs to poke his way out of this fight, right? We've seen that, you know, Crawford's been lined up by lots of fighters. Not Errol Spence, of course, but other fighters that was able to line up with shots that don't necessarily hit like a Canelo. Now, Canelo going on you.
Tom Loeffler takes a different angle on the Canelo versus Crawford showdown, not questioning fairness, but celebrating the sheer spectacle. From a promoter's perspective, Loeffler sees this clash as one of the most marketable events in modern boxing. He highlights that both Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford are global superstars with massive followings that cut across nations, cultures, and demographics. To Loeffler, this fight goes far beyond titles or weight classes. It's about two icons colliding on the biggest stage possible. Loeffler stresses that matchups of this magnitude do more than satisfy hardcore fans. They attract mainstream attention, energize casual viewers, and elevate boxing to the center of global sports conversation. In his eyes, Canelo versus Crawford is not just a fight. It's an event that transcends the ring.
On such a high-profile show, it's huge. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And you know, you got to give credit to both guys. They're both very confident. They both have very passionate fan bases. You know, Callum, you know, having fought in Dublin, packed the arena out there, the 3 Arena, having fought at Madison Square Garden 3 times, fought in Boston, and then Fernando Jr., you know, from one of the biggest boxing named families, you know, in the history of boxing. He's going to bring out a huge fan base. So it's a really exciting addition to, you know, such a big show that like I said, doesn't get any bigger than that for sure.
I agree. I think that you, along with me, have seen some of these criticisms of the undercard. But really, when you look at it, I mean, we both know Callum Walsh so well. The personality and the authenticity that he brings to this sport is just so sincere. He's so real. You know, being from Ireland, coming overseas to train and dedicate his life to this craft, and his personality is so magnetic that it obviously brought someone like Dana White to be a huge supporter of him. I think in these weeks leading up to the fight, you know, the fighting public who does not know Callum Walsh is really going to fall in love with him, especially, you know.
Saudi boxing power broker Turki Alashik is widely credited as the driving force behind making Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford a reality. His influence and financial muscle have turned fantasy matchups into real events, though not without controversy. Critics argue that this particular fight was born more out of spectacle and global demand than pure competitiveness. They point to the glaring size difference, suggesting Crawford will be at a natural disadvantage before the first bell even rings. For them, the matchup raises questions about fairness, even if it guarantees massive attention. Still, Alashik's impact on the sport can't be overlooked. Without his backing, this fight almost certainly wouldn't exist. His ability to unite two of boxing's biggest stars underscores his growing power in shaping the modern era. Right or wrong, his vision has delivered a once-in-a-generation event, one that ensures fans worldwide will witness history.
Benavidez Jr., Canelo, you know, would have mopped up all of these dudes, bro. Would have mopped up all of these dudes. Like, you know, when we're coming out and saying that this is a complete mismatch, and this is a joke, and this is a fantasy fight, you know what I'm saying, that Turki Alashik dreamed of, and we know he's a big Crawford fan, knowing, you know, the level of star power that Canelo Alvarez has, and he had the bag to make this fight happen. It doesn't mean that it's a logical fight for boxing, bro. At the end of the day, man, you know, you guys tell me if Terence Crawford would have beat Triple G. Tell me if he would have beat Billy Joe Saunders. Tell me if he could beat Bivol, even though, yeah, Canelo didn't beat Bivol, but tell me if he could have beat a Sergey Kovalev. And the other loss Canelo has to Mayweather, man. Crawford, you know, nobody in the world, I felt, could have beat Mayweather in the height of his career, bro. Tell me if Crawford, bro, would have just flat out went in there and beat a guy like Miguel Cotto, Daniel Jacobs. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like, it's the level of competition that Canelo faced, man. And these dudes that he went in there to beat. You know, Terence Crawford is nowhere, you know, has fought nowhere near the level of competition that Canelo Alvarez has fought. And I've had some comments talking about, you know, you talk about we're going off of our emotions and you're going off of your emotions. You're not giving no facts, bro. Like, this is all facts right here, bro. The fact of the matter is, bro, Canelo Alvarez has fought at light heavyweight. The fact of the matter is, Terence Crawford has only fought once at 154 pounds. And the fact of the matter is, he was getting touched up by those right hands all night, bro. By Majumov. That's the fact, bro. The biggest, most dominating fight he ever had was against Errol.
Respected trainer Dave Coldwell has made it clear that he sees Terence Crawford's versatility as the key to victory against Canelo Alvarez. In Coldwell's eyes, Crawford's rare ability to switch seamlessly between orthodox and southpaw gives him an edge that few fighters in the sport can match. Caldwell highlights how Crawford uses this skill not just as a trick, but as a weapon, creating angles, breaking rhythm, and keeping opponents constantly off balance. Just as crucial, he stresses Crawford's footwork, which allows him to glide in and out of range, avoid being pinned down, and dictate the terms of engagement. Against a pressure fighter like Canelo, who excels at cutting off the ring and forcing opponents onto the ropes, Coldwell believes this mobility could make all the difference. If Crawford can keep distance, use lateral movement, and deny Canelo the chance to trap him, he has every opportunity to win rounds and even the fight. For Coldwell, this matchup isn't about raw power. It's about ring IQ, discipline, and the art of movement, and in those areas, he sees Crawford holding the advantage.
When the fight got made, I've always fancied Crawford. I just think he's different. I think there's something about him. I think if you add what Crawford's good at, his brain, he can switch, he's very good as a southpaw. His judgment of distance is fantastic, his punch picking is fantastic, he's got good legs. When you add what, and he can pop. I mean, listen, I'm not saying he's got the power to hurt Canelo, but he might have the power to surprise Canelo a little bit and just sting him but when you look at what Crawford does well, and then I look at this version of Canelo, as Canelo's got on, his punch rate's gone down.
That's it for today's breakdown of Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford. What do you think? Does Crawford have the tools to shock the world, or will Canelo's size and experience prove too much? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more fight previews and boxing news. Stay tuned. Until next time.